Hi there, my name is Abigail Morrison, and this is my case study for EDL 853. Just a little bit about the case. We have a student that just moved to town with his family a few years ago. His name is Miguel Hernandez. He is now living in Dover, attending Nottingham High, which is a high school that is well known and has a high reputation for academics and outstanding sports. Miguel, a sophomore, who is a standout athlete and student, was playing in his last regular season game of football, and an opposing team member tackled Miguel, which caused him to become paralyzed from the waist down. The other team's player is not at fault. This was a sports-related injury, and there is no legal binding to that player. Miguel's parents met with Miss Gussman, who is the school counselor, to discuss his return to school prior to Miguel returning. And moving forward with that, Miguel will be wheelchair bound, and accommodations will need to be done in order for him to return properly. Miss Gussman, on the first day of school, pulled Miguel into her office after Miguel had just had a assembly where he was presented an award for his outstanding achievement and coming back strong after an injury. Ms. Gussman informed him that there would be a schedule change with his biology class, that he would no longer be able to take biology, which is a needed college credit for him, and he would be switched to another science class that would be wheelchair accessible. His biology class was in a part of the school that did not accommodate wheelchairs, and Ms. Gussman decided to change the schedule without the parents knowing. And she also did not tell the parents prior to Miguel returning to school in the meeting that they had. With this, after this change, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez and a lawyer being present met with Ms. Gussman and myself, the principal, to express concerns and unfair treatment to Miguel, and they also would like to discuss a 504. A 504 being a district level type IEP, that is a legal document that says that Miguel needs to have these accommodations. Since these were not made prior to Miguel returning to school, they would like to have this become apparent now. With this comes some legal and ethical issues. Legally, the American Disabilities Act, or ADA, will become present. Also, FAPE, or Free Appropriate Public Education, on how Miguel will be receiving his education. And then we will also need to look into the least restrictive environment, what environment helps Miguel the most, and what benefits him being wheelchair bound now. We also need to look at a Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This is where the parents and the school will need to meet to determine what accommodations need to be in place for Miguel to further his education. And then again, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, and Miguel does qualify under the IDA. So then when we shift to the ethical side of things, during the return to school meeting, Ms. Gussman assured that the Hernandez family that Miguel's return to school would have no complications. And then overall, after the complications arose and there was a schedule change, that really caused a lack of equity for Miguel. It wasn't fair, and that should have been discussed with the parents prior to his return. And so on that portion of it, the school is at fault and the counselor is at fault for not doing what was best for Miguel and communicating that with the parents up front. Let's synthesize what has happened in a single sentence. Miguel, a wheelchair-bound student, is being faced with an issue of classroom accessibility in regards to a science class that is needed for his future education. Impact of the risks. So the people involved in this case are myself, the principal, Miguel Hernandez, the student, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, the student's family. Ms. Gussman is the school counselor, and the Hernandez family lawyer who became present at the meeting. This is taking place in Dover and also Nottingham High School. The programs that are being looked at here are standard educational classes for all high school students, in general public education, and then the college biology prep class that is needed for Miguel to further his educational journey. Review and prioritize the information. So damaging to the stakeholders that are going to feel this are Miguel, the Hernandez family, Ms. Gussman, the school counselor, myself, the administrator. This could come back and damage the reputation of the school and myself, and then Nottingham High, and then Dover School District as a whole. Individuals who have an important stake in the decision is Miguel's family, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, this Miss Gussman, the school counselor, and myself as the administrator. Have all relevant stakeholders been contacted? And when it comes to this, some stakeholders were not informed prior to the return of the school. So Miguel and his family were not informed of the schedule change that would occur when Miguel returned, and myself as the principal was not also informed. This should have been communicated by Ms. Gussman prior to anybody coming back to school. It would have also been discussed during the meeting that we had between the family and myself. What would I like to know, continuing on with this case? I would like to know why there was not any communication of biology not being wheelchair accessible prior to the return. Was a written or signed 504 in place? Had we talked about the 504 with the family prior to Miguel returning? Did we need to be building that document prior? What accommodations will be made for Miguel to continue in his biology class? What will the educational teacher or the general ed teacher be doing to help ensure that Miguel is being treated fairly and getting the education he needs? Also, along with Ms. Gussman with the future schedule. And then what corrective measures will the school enforce for the future and current students at Nottingham High? Based on the information given, I have enough to go ahead and make the best possible choice. My possible decisions are: decision 1, bypass the lawyer and Hernandez family wishes and continue with Miguel in a new science class placement. Decision 2, Miguel will be granted access to biology class but will not have any accommodations to the classroom. Decision 3, look for technology assistance that would allow for Miguel to participate in class from an alternative route, such as a school library. And then decision 4, move the current biology class to a room that is wheelchair accessible and provide needed accommodations to ensure a culturally responsive environment. The pros and cons. To decision number 1, bypassing the lawyer and Hernandez family wishes and just carrying on with how it is. There really is no pros to this. The cons, though, the parents could feel unheard, the relationship will weaken, there could be a possible lawsuit, Ms. Gussman could face potential loss of job, school's reputation could become damaged, FAPE, ADA are not being upheld, and the 504 will become an important document if not written. And then Miguel's return to school could become very difficult. He may not get the education he needs to further on into college. The pros of Miguel will be granted access to biology class, but will not have any accommodations. Miguel will be able to complete the needed science credit to help with his future education. There are more cons to this one. The least restrictive environment is not being looked into. Miguel's overall well-being is not being considered. And then this is not an inclusive type school. This is not the cultural that we want to build for this student. FAPE and ADA are being brought up but are not being upheld. We are not meeting what the best needs for Miguel are. A lawsuit is still an option, and school will be liable for any compensation that needs to be paid later on. Look for technology assistance that would allow for Miguel to participate in class from an alternative location, such as a school library. The pros to this is Miguel will be able to complete his needed biology class. Some accommodations are being put into place for him to be successful. Miguel's well-being is being considered. With this, a lawsuit might be bypassed, but is not guaranteed. Technology assistance is being utilized, and Miguel's future is still being considered. The cons to this, the cultural inclusive environment is still lacking. He will be excluded from his peers and social interaction during the class time. And then FAPE and ADA are still not being upheld for Miguel. So we are still in some hot water here with this one. And then decision 4, move the current biology class to a room that is wheelchair accessible and provide needed accommodations to ensure a culturally responsive environment. So the pros here is Miguel's future education is still on track. His well-being is still being considered. FAPE and ADA are being met now. Proper accommodations are being set and put into place for Miguel to carry on. The school is showing cultural responsiveness to the situation and is working towards equity or equality for all students and Miguel. Parents feel supported and feel their student is being taken care of. We do avoid a lawsuit, and a 504 is bypassed. The cons, the staff or the general education teacher could become frustrated for having to move rooms. And there could be a lack of supplies or resources due to a transfer of rooms. So really your general education teacher would feel this one a little bit, and she would have to be supported and worked with. The best option I went with is move the current biology class to a room that is wheelchair accessible and provide needed accommodations to ensure a culturally responsive environment. How to implement this? Open and honest communication with all stakeholders about the situation and the decision being made. A meeting to inform all stakeholders would allow for questions and concerns, provide information and explain honestly how these decisions will be best fit for Miguel's future educational plan. Have all stakeholders been consulted? The Hernandez family needs to be communicated with as we move forward, and the biology teacher or the general education teacher also needs to be informed of what's going on and the important role that they will play in the future for Miguel. Have all options been thought of? Allow for a family to come in and hear the decision that is best fit. Openly and clearly explain the route in which we would go, but present the best option that we see fit as a team. And then allow parents to have the final decision and listen to any concerns that they might have. The plan of action. Choose your path. Meet with Ms. Gussman to discuss possible options, provide insight on potential best option, and then meet with all involved stakeholders. We need to look and discuss all options to best accommodate biology class for Miguel and any other classes that he will be attending, and then finalize the classroom move, and check the room for any wheelchair accessibility that might not fit. Think about what could happen. Tension from the biology teacher from having to move classrooms. The parents might not feel like their child is being treated fairly, and then the lawsuit is still a possibility. And then school reputation could be damaged. Identify who needs to know. The Hernandez family, Miguel, Ms. Gussman, the biology teacher, the lawyer, and any higher administration. Determine if you can deal with this on your own. I would go ahead and involve the upper administration, at least make them aware of the situation and then any possible legal allegations that could arise. Allow them to take part in the next meeting. And then the maintenance crew needs to be aware of what is going on and double check the entire school to make sure all of it is handicap accessible. Warn, don't threaten. Have a conversation with Ms. Gussman about future situations and the best way to handle them. Explain how the student's overall well-being is at the forefront and the importance the plan of action really needs to be equitable and culturally inclusive for all students and for their future success. What might happen if the chosen plan of action doesn't work? Meeting with the Hernandez family and lawyer to hear parents' concerns and requests. Include upper administration in all meetings if the plan is not selected. And then district legal team needs to be consulted with and included in the process from here on out. And then work collaboratively to find the best solution for Miguel. And then here is my references. Thank you.